Welcome to Dodgers Dawgs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Casey Porter here, joined by Mark Watkins. I am each and every Thursday. So, Mark, wow, what a bounce back. What a great game last night. The Dodgers just hung around, finally got to Burns.
Yeah, that was awesome. They really needed that, obviously. And the last two games were huge for them, both from terms of coming back and, showing that resilience, that championship heart, and also having their two starters pitch deep into the game to help, give the bullpen some rest.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And that's a bullpen that has been used more than any other bullpen in Major League Baseball. So kind of one of my thoughts was I was watching Lou Trevino last night and Jack Dreyer, and kind of the way that Dave was using the bullpen kind of by matchup. They need to find the next who was the guy? Chris Martin a couple years ago, Yency Almonte, even the Evan Phillips. They need to find that next guy off the scrap heap that actually turns out to be a high leverage guy. They need to find that guy. Maybe it's Lou Trevino. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he's done a great job so far. I think he's had 2 appearances. I think it's 3.1 innings, and he has yet to allow a hit. Only allowed 1 walk. And I looked at his past, and he's had some success. His career ERA in the major leagues is 3.9, so it's not too bad. And he had Tommy John surgery in 2023, so he's still kind of recovering from that. But yeah, he's looking good. He has a really good pitch mix. So maybe he could be a guy who could eat up some innings for them.
We know that the Dodgers can turn these guys that you go, okay, well, he's just filler until so-and-so and so-and-so gets back. We know they can turn those guys into the next Evan Phillips or Brusdar Graterol or whoever it may be.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Last night, Dustin May, just a fantastic start. You got the full experience from him. You got kind of the in control, really good Dustin May. You got the fiery Dustin May. And so, I mean, it was a lot of fun to watch him pitch.
Yeah, I mean, you love to see that from him. He's always had great stuff. He's struggled with his command a little bit at times this year, but he was on last night, and he was hitting his spots and using all of his pitches. And Oral mentioned that he seems like he's throwing a little more sidearm, kind of evolving into that type of pitcher, and maybe that's helping him too. Sometimes when you throw sidearm like that, it creates a little more movement, or a movement that hitters aren't used to. So, yeah, he was great last night, and they really needed that. He hung in there, and he showed a lot of resilience and grit, and he really almost matched Corbin Burns pitch for pitch. He did give up the 1 home run, so yeah.
Yeah, at a time where the Dodgers didn't get a hit till the 6th inning on that hit up the middle by whoever it was.
It's Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, Freddie Freeman. Then Miguel Rojas and Mookie Betts got the 2 hits in the 6th inning to get things started. And so, really, I mean, here's what I think the Dodgers did really well. While they weren't scoring, they were burning wood off of Corbin Burns. So it's like you just knock down that pitch count. On the other side of that, you have a pitcher in Dustin May that's keeping you in contact with the scoreboard. So you use the overall accumulative effect of burning wood on the starting pitcher, and then when you do have the one chance to strike, you take advantage of it. I mean, that was like clockwork for the Dodgers.
Exactly, and obviously Teo had the huge hit, and he's been so clutch for them this year. He means so much to them having him in the lineup. He kind of gives them energy besides having the ability to come up with those clutch hits like he has. And that was obviously a huge home run from him last night.
Yeah, I could not believe that Burns threw him a hanging slider right there. But how about Dustin May? 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 8 Ks, 1 walk. 1 walk, that's it. So, like, if he has just 1 bad inning and the Dodgers go down, like, say, 4-0, and Corbin Burns is on the mound dealing like he was, I don't think the Dodgers win last night.
No, I don't think so either. They needed everything he gave him last night, and he came through. So it was huge. I was thinking earlier in the game, like, man, if they play these D-backs, end up playing in the playoffs, they'd be a tough matchup with Burns and Fott, the way they're pitching, if they're still pitching that way at the end of the year. So it was almost like a playoff atmosphere, I felt like.
Yeah, it did. And the kind of way I put the D-backs is, right now, they're just good enough to lose. I mean, it's like you see them do some good things, and it's like, wow, they're very capable. Then they just do enough losing plays to where they're not good enough to overcome the losing type plays, So they're just good enough to lose. But for Dustin May, 88 pitches, 59 strikes, and it was all about the sweeper. His sweeper was awesome last night. He threw it the most. He threw the sweeper more than any other pitch. He threw it for a strike 54% of the time, so more than half the time. You talk about that sidearm. That's why he's going sidearm, because it's playing into that sweeper. And it's a natural movement to him, so he can throw it with less stress on his arm. And on that sweeper, he got 4 strikeouts on the sweeper, 7 total outs, and only gave up 1 hit on the sweeper. So kind of like you hit on just a minute ago, if he can keep that more sidearm slot, keep throwing the sweeper in the zone, we got something here with Dustin May, obviously.
Yeah, that has to be tough for a right-handed hitter to have, that big, tall guy with long arms coming at you on the mound and throwing that sweeper sidearm, just coming across the plate that way. It's got to be really tough to hit, and he's really hitting his spots with it, because he's been burned with his sweeper a couple times in the past, but when he didn't hit his spots, but his command was on last night, and that made a big difference.
Tanner Scott, it was good to see, coming into the night before, he gave up the 2 home runs. Dodgers still won the game, but he had only given up 2 home runs in 20 innings going into that outing. So it's like it was 22 innings and 4 home runs after that outing. But I mean, it's like, oh my God, you got Alex Vestu who's been giving up home runs, Anthony Bondo's been giving up home runs, Landon Knack's been giving up home runs. He's definitely a reliever candidate. We damn sure can't have Tanner Scott starting to give up home runs either. So it's good to see his bounce back.
Right. You can't afford to have that, like you said. I mean, he's been their one guy who's been super consistent, and they're all human. They're allowed to have their off nights, and he did, but he bounced back really well last night when they really needed him to. So, yeah.
Back up to Tuesday night, man. Talk about that comeback. That was fun, wasn't it?
That was awesome. Yeah, I thought they were gonna lose that one, but they came back and showed some really good execution in that last inning. There was a lot of really key at bats. Edman had that 2-strike double. Mookie had the sac fly. Shohei had the stolen base, and then Max Muncy had a big sac fly. So they executed really well and didn't try to do too much, kind of stayed within themselves, and did what they needed to do to seal that victory. It was awesome.
So we talked about the Lou Trevino type deal. The Dodgers need to find some kind of diamond in the rough to bridge this part of the season to after the All-Star break. I mean, how do we do that? How do we get from where we're at right now, where the bullpen's getting overtaxed, to maybe All-Star break or after All-Star break when everybody gets healthy? How do we do that and have any semblance of a good record? That's my worry right here.
Yeah, well, the good thing is, hopefully, they'll get Trinan, Phillips, Kopech back, and a guy that I hadn't even thought about on our last podcast, but Bruce Dark-Ratterall, because he's obviously hasn't pitched much the last couple of years, but it would be huge to get him back too. But if you get all 4 of those guys back, and they will have low amount of innings, for the year, they could be fresh towards the end of the year. That could be huge for them.
Yeah, it could. So that bridge right there, I think that's the key. I mean, hey, we can sit here and say all day, I'm not worried. No big deal. It's the Dodgers. They're good. They'll be okay. It's 1 out of 162. All of that is fine. But then somebody needs to answer to me, how are we going to get through the next month and a half, 2 months, 2.5 months, if Yoshinobu Yamamoto is the only reliable starter you have, if you're literally relying on Lou Trevino to be like your fireman type guy, if you're having to throw Tanner Scott on back-to-back nights when he threw 30 pitches the night before just because you feel like you have to win. I mean, you've seen, to me, one thing that I criticize Dave of is that sometimes I think he plays the big picture too much. And it's like, damn, Dave, I love you, brother, but we need a little bit more urgency in your decision-making. And kind of what's shocking me right now, what has me worried, is that I'm seeing the opposite right now. I'm seeing more urgency than I normally see from Dave. And that makes me think, well, damn, if he's managing like that, he's a little bit worried himself. I mean, am I out in the weeds too much?
Yeah, I think he has changed it up a little bit this year, but I don't think he's overly worried. They're despite all the injuries that they've had, they're still in first place, and now the Padres dropped down to third place. I noticed yesterday, by the way, but yeah, they're. I think they're going to be okay. I mean,
the final 4 innings of a 6-2 win.
Injury that they have, Glasnow and Snell, of course. We don't know if that's going to happen, but that would be huge to get them back too.
I'm just playing kind of a little bit of devil's advocate, just kind of a big picture devil's advocate too. I mean, Shohei Ohtani, he's either at or above, in front of his pace from last year. Mookie Betts is fine. I mean, he's 265, 270, whatever, and he's your shortstop. Freddie Freeman's having one of his best years ever. Will Smith is absolutely having an awesome year. Teo Hernandez was the MVP until he got hurt. He hits the big home run last night. Tommy Edman is Tommy Edman. You can't expect anything more than what you've gotten out of Andy Pages. So when we look at the offensive side, it's like, well, you're not going to get better offensively because you're already getting just about top end of what this offense should be.
Right.
And so we're having these stretches, and I'm just thinking, well, okay, then this probably is what the Dodgers are, at least for another couple of months. I know I'm hashing and rehashing that, but I'm trying to work this through my brain, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, they just had an absurd amount of pitching injuries last year and this year. And I mean, there's a lot of discussion going on. Yeah, I see it in social media sites, people saying, oh, it's the trainers, it's the pitching coach, it's causing all these injuries, whatever it might be. But maybe it's just organizational philosophy. The Dodgers always focus on high velocity, high spin rate guys, and that tends to lead to injuries, I think. So that could have a lot to do with it. But yeah, they've just, more than any other team, the guys that they have on the IL could make a great pitching staff. We talked about that. So just getting guys back and getting them healthy would be a key for them, obviously. Huge
stretch coming up. And another part of this equation that has me worried, of course, I'm a worrywart, so take that in mind too. I mean, you got the Mets, the Yankees, you got all these teams, the Guardians, all these teams. I don't know the exact numbers. I've seen them. I could probably look it up right quick. Let's just say this. You have a whole slew of teams that the Dodgers are getting ready to play that have winning records. I mean, we're getting ready to get into the toughest stretch of the season for the Dodgers at one of their most vulnerable points in terms of injuries. I'm just telling you, to me, it's not good enough just to say, oh, they'll be okay. I'm worried. I'm worried to see. I'm worried, maybe too harsh, but I'm more, I guess, interested to see how the Dodgers make it through this death row with the carnation that they have right now. I do have concerns with that, but hey, let's move on. We talked about the difficult schedule. The Mets coming up. The Dodgers put a pop knot on their head in the postseason last year. And the Mets are going to be just sitting there just foaming at the mouth waiting for the Dodgers.
Absolutely. Well, this is where character comes in and the ability to show that heart of a champion. They have a lot of high character guys who I think will step up and show what they need to do. I'm hoping, at least, because obviously with the injuries that they have, they need guys to step up, and we'll see what they're made of, I guess you could say. Yeah,
Griffin Canning goes for the Mets, and he has been very good for New York this year. Very, very good for New York. Matter of fact, 2.47 ERA, 5-1 on the year. He has 46 strikeouts against Clayton Kershaw. What can we expect from the Hall of Famer? I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, what do you expect out of this?
It's hard to say. Kershaw's one of those guys who's always had, that heart and that grit. So we'll see. I mean, hopefully he'll come back, and his first outing was kind of rough, but I expect that he'll step up and do a better job, or I hope that he will anyway.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So the New York Mets, they just took down Boston the other day, and they're having a good season. They spent a lot of money. They're winning games, and Juan Soto hasn't been just absolutely incredible for them. But a lot of familiar faces. We remember Marte from last year. We know all about Francisco Lindor. Brandon Nimmo, who seems like he goes 1,000 for 1,000 against the Dodgers. Those little slap hitters. And then obviously You have Juan Soto. Pete Alonso is having an awesome year, so very dangerous there. we remember Mark Vientos. He wore out the Dodgers last year. And so talk a little bit about what you expect from the Mets, the type of team they have, and what the Dodgers are going to need to do to take them down.
It's going to be a challenge, obviously, with that lineup. It's going to be a tall task for the Dodgers to beat them right now. But they gotta hope that they can step up and do the job, the pitching.
Yeah, 30-20 in the NL East to the New York Mets. They're second in the NL East. So, okay, final thoughts on anything Dodgers related before we get to our big Down the Farm segment. I know you put together a whole bunch of great stats as far as where a lot of the Dodgers prospects are at in terms of the statistical leaderboards in the minor leagues. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. We're going to incorporate this every week into our Down the Farm with your segments in terms of we're going to go over leaderboards. And hey, where is each player in the Dodgers system? Are they leading in walks? Are they leading in strikeouts? Are they leading in home runs? Who are the guys doing it? So super excited about that for Down the Farm. Before we get there, final thoughts on the Dodgers.
Well, I think it was good that they won these last two games and they gave the bullpen a rest, and obviously now they have a day off today, so that'll help too. The bullpen, as we've talked about, has been really taxed, so it's good for them to get that momentum of two big wins and get the day off and get the bullpen some rest. So really hoping that pays dividends coming into this tough stretch that they're going into.
Okay, man, let's not waste more time. Let's get right to it, and let's take a trip down on the farm. And who you're seeing here is Ryan Ward with AAA Oklahoma City. Let me actually get this. Give me just 1 second because Mark is not seeing this yet. So let me turn on that virtual camera. Let me do this right here, and then now Mark can see it, and we can get after our Down on the Farm coverage. This is Ryan Ward right here, and Ryan Ward's been one of the better players in all of the minor leagues. And so, Oklahoma City, Mark.
He has been, and as you mentioned, I did kind of a deep dive on the minor league leaders for each of the leagues that the Dodgers have. Well, I didn't go into all of them like the DSL and such, but OKC, Tulsa, Great Lakes, and Rancho Cucamonga. But Ryan Ward, yeah, he's leading the Pacific Coast League in WRC at 142. So he's really been. We talked about have been pounding the ball and just doing a great job overall for OKC.
So some of the guys, hey, we hear about all the big time guys we talk about. We just mentioned just a minute ago that, hey, the Dodgers need to find their next diamond in the rough in terms of bridging this next month and a half, 2 months to the All-Star break to where they can start getting a little bit more healthy. So maybe that bridge comes from your farm system. So who you're seeing here is Sam Carlson. I'm going to put on some video here in just a second of Logan Boyer. Let me just kind of flip through these guys pretty fast and give you a look as to how they look. So you saw Sam Carlson, Logan Boyer, and then I'm going to put on some video of Ben Harris here in a second. You're going to see Ben Harris right here. Let me get to Ben Harris there, and then we're going to get to Jack Little last. So kind of the point here is I know you want to make is that these guys have been pitching well, and they are depth in the system, and they are guys that maybe they could be used as bridges to bridge that gap that we've been talking about.
Right. We've talked about the fact that the Dodgers kind of have a tendency to not want to start the major league clock on some guys, and so they'll pick up some guys who have bounced around a little bit, like Lou Trevino, who's done a good job for them, and Matt Sauer, guys like that. Sauer's pitched very well for OKC as well during the times when he hasn't been up on the Dodgers. But yeah, all four of these guys have ERAs under 3 for OKC, which isn't easy to do in that league because obviously there's a lot of hitters' parks. So, but yeah, all four of those guys have been pitching really well. And at some point, maybe we'll see one or more of them as the season goes along.
From a statistical breakdown, do you have one that kind of sticks out to you more than the others, or they just all kind of lump together for you?
Their numbers are all pretty similar. Sam Carlson has the best numbers among them. He's been pitching really well for them. So I would say if anybody maybe has an edge, it could be him.
How many do you have his numbers in front of you right now?
I do not have it in front of me, unfortunately.
Let me actually look that up. Give me just a second here because I'm curious because the one thing that Sam Carlson has to do. We know he has the sinker and the two seam. So on the year right now, if this will load, if you've ever been to the minor league site, it takes forever to load. So 24.2 innings. He has 29 strikeouts. That's good. Average against at 181. That's good. But his whip is 134 because he has 18 walks and 24.2 innings. So the concern for me would be, okay, you get away with that in AAA, but if you have almost a walk per inning, will that play in the major leagues? That would be my concern with Sam Carlson.
Exactly. That he needs to clean that up for sure. And once that kind of gets exacerbated sometimes when you go from the minor leagues to the major leagues, because the major league hitters obviously will lay off a lot of pitches that the minor leaguers won't. So yeah, that could be a concern for him.
Yep. And then as we move to the AA level, who you're seeing here is kind of the forgotten man in the system. We forget Jose Ramos was once a huge prospect. Kind of some prospect fatigue with all the strikeouts he's had in the past, but dive into Jose Ramos.
Yeah, Jose Ramos is having a great season for Tulsa. He's tied for the league lead with 10 home runs, and in slugging percentage is close to the lead with WRC plus of 153. So he's really just having a phenomenal season, and he has prodigious power. He's been doing it all for them.
He absolutely has been. Got hurt there for about 7 days. He's kept that strikeout rate to down around, I'd say 23 to 25% all year. That's the key to him. Got it, kind of like Sam Carlson. You got to keep the walks down. You got to keep the strikeouts away from Jose Ramos, and he can do damage. Another young man we haven't talked enough about on Dodgers Dawgs as part of the Dodgers Data Network down on the farm, Jiren Fernandez.
Yes, he has a lot of versatility too, because I know he can catch and play second base, and but he's very close to the league lead, interestingly, in lowest strikeout percentage, like we talked about with Ramos, which is 9.8%. So he's a really good contact hitter. Yeah, he also has an outstanding on base percentage at 388. So with his, as I mentioned, his versatility, he could be valuable to the Dodgers at some point.
You're talking about a guy who can catch, play some infield, maybe some outfield in a pinch, that has almost a 400 on base percentage and does not strike out. Count me in on that. I like that from Jiren Fernandez, no doubt.
Exactly.
Kendall George, we saw the 6 stolen bases the other day as we move down to the high A Great Lakes level.
Yeah, as we talked about, he's got a 80 grade on his speed. He's just blazing fast, and he's among the league leaders in steals with 19. The leader has 21. And he's really been coming on strong lately at that 6 stolen base game. So he seems to be getting better and better.
I know that people want him to add power, but I just would assume him continue to develop his game around his speed. And then obviously Josue Depala may be the best player in the minor leagues right now with some of the things he's doing.
Right. I mean, Mike Serotto might have a case for that, but he's a few years older than Josue Depala. Jose Depala is just doing amazing things. He has a terrific on-base percentage of 417, and his OPS is 928. So he's third in the league in that category. The leader in the league is at 970, but he's 3 years older than Depala, Christian Knapczyk. So Depala is fourth in WRC plus at 158, and he's 2 to 4 years younger than 3 guys that are ahead of him in that category. So
that's the thing. That's how. Yeah.
He's very advanced. He has just an amazing approach for his age.
I think he just turned 20. So yeah, definitely very young for his age. And then Zire Hope, who slowed down a little bit, but is having a great year for Great Lakes.
Yes, he's at 393 in on-base percentage, 893 in OPS. So he's having a phenomenal year, and he's as you said, he's cooled off a little bit, but he's still having a phenomenal season. And we talked about how the ball just jumps off his bat. He's got terrific bat speed. He's 8th in WRC plus at 146, and he's also
wow. I would have thought he'd been higher than that. I would have thought he'd been like in the top 2 or 3, but that surprises me.
Yeah, but you got to remember too, he's also 20 years old. So him and Josue Depala, if you look at the top 8 guys in the league, they're the youngest 2 out of them. Most of them are at least a couple, 2-3 years older
really?
than them.
So
Yes.
out of the entire top 8 in WRC Plus, they are the 2 youngest.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
So if you talk about the Dodgers outfield of the future. I mean, those two are firmly in the mix. You would think Josue Depala, Zire Hope, Mike Serotto, all 3 of those guys.
Yeah, and Kendall George that we talked about a minute ago, and this
Right.
guy Patrick Copen, man, this is a guy you need to know.
Yes, he's been the best pitcher for the Loons. And he's 5th in the Midwest League in ERA. It's 2.29, and he's 2nd in strikeout to walk ratio. The thing about him is he's by far the leader in strikeout percentage at 39%, but he's walked a little too many. He's walked 15.5%, so that kind of skews his numbers. But the numbers show, I mean, just that strikeout percentage shows that he has great stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of Tyler Glass now, by the way. And
He does. Yeah.
The way he pitches. But he's been trending upward, too, after a bit of a rough start. So he's looking really good lately.
My man Mike Serotto, I know he leads a lot of the California League still and a whole bunch of stuff. He's with Great Lakes now, but Mike Serotto, wow.
Yeah, he's so exciting to watch, and we talked about him being basically ranked number 1 out of all minor leaguers so far this year. He's leading the league in batting average at 354. He was in Rancho Cucamonga, I should say. He's since been promoted, of course. And in WRC Plus, he was at just an absurd 194. So he was just head and shoulders above the competition, of course.
Wow.
He also led in OPS with incredible 1130 in OPS and slugging percentage with 687, which is phenomenal. And the next closest to him in slugging percentage was 571. So that's an amazing gap.
Wow.
Yeah, he's just having just a phenomenal year for them.
I'll tell you another guy who's having a really nice year. Spent all last year at the DSL. A guy you need to know. There's a lot of growth to go here. There's a lot of skills that need to get refined, kind of like you're talking about Patrick Copen. There's still a lot of execution piece to it that needs to get solved in terms of getting the ball in the strike zone. But Jiren Elkins, man, I am very impressed just with the physical stature and the treasure trove of tools of Jiren Elkins.
Yeah, he's so athletic. Like we talked about, he comes from a background playing multiple sports like football, and he still has a lot of growth to do. He's just kind of started professionally not too long ago, so he has a lot of upside. He's 2nd in the league in stolen bases with 20. So he obviously has a lot of speed. He has good power. He's been doing a good job of using the whole field, but I expect that he's going to, show a lot of growth, take some leaps and bounds in the next couple of years.
I would totally agree. I see this guy, Jiren Elkins, completely taking off here in the next year or two. Another guy to me that's
Definitely.
massively under the radar, a young man who went to Wazoo and then Oregon State, was really good last year with Oregon State, impacts the ball very well. Like you said, hits the ball to all fields. Very strong young man, very experienced. Elijah Haline.
Right. Yeah, he's definitely he was very much under the radar before this year to me, but he's 7th in OPS at 877, and he's just been showing a lot of overall skill this year and showing an advanced approach at the plate.
No doubt. And that's because of that advanced approach you're talking about, because he has so much experience, he's been able to be consistent too. And then another guy that's really, really blasted onto the scene, Caleb Ferguson. We love Fergie. I love Christian Zazueta. You got Christian Zazueta in that trade deal for Caleb Ferguson. He has splashed onto the scene for Rancho. He's been awesome.
Yeah, he seems to be getting better and better. He's 2nd in the Cal League in ERA at 2.52, and he's tied for the league with 4 wins now. He has a really good pitch mix, and he just looks really composed out there on the mound. So you have to be impressed by what he's done. He's 2nd in walk percentage, so he has really good command. He doesn't give up many walks. Doesn't strike out a lot of guys, but his control, his command just seems to be improving with each start that he makes.
So opposite of Patrick Copen, he's execution over stuff, right? A lot of these young guys, exactly. Tyler Glass now too, but you kind of compared Copen to Glass now. It's stuff over execution. It's interesting that the younger guys at Rancho, like Nicholas Cruz and Sean Paul Lignon, who started for Oklahoma City the other day, they are execution over stuff. And I think that's refreshing.
It is. Yeah, the Dodgers, one thing I've talked about doing, and we'll have to do that in a future segment, I think, is kind of go over the best tools in the organization, like who has the best fastball, who has the best curveball, who has the best command, all of those things. And obviously from the hitter side, power and hitting tool and stolen base ability, that kind of thing. So, yeah, but there's a lot to be excited about in the minor leagues.
All right, bring you back in, man. This has been a lot of fun. We got to talk a lot about the Dodgers, minor leagues. Anything you want to say to put a button on this?
Just that, like I said, I think the Dodgers they have some momentum going into this big stretch, and they've obviously had to overcome a lot to this point. But hopefully they'll get on a little roll here and show what they're made of, as I said.
No doubt. It's going to be a tough stretch, though. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit worried about the next month and a half. I'm worried about that bridge that I've talked about a couple of times. But we'll see how that goes. And this is just an awesome roster. So, Mark, thanks.
Thank you, Casey.
All right. For Mark Watkins, I'm Casey Porter. As always, you Dodgers dogs are the absolute best. One last reminder, as always, it's a great day to be a Dodger.